Months of testing have finally ended as Melbourne, Australia plays host to the first Grand Prix of the 2000 FIA Formula One World Championship. The Australians really know how to put on a show, and the Albert Park extravaganza is no exception. Could pole sitter Mika Häkkinen win a hat-trick of titles? Or would second fastest David Coulthard steal his crown? Third on the grid is Michael Schumacher, followed by teammate Rubens Barrichello. F1 2000 is go. Häkkinen and Coulthard make great starts, while the Jordans swarm all over the slow-starting Ferraris. On board with Barrichello, who has dropped to fifth. Häkkinen leads, followed by Coulthard, Schumacher, Frentzen, Barrichello and Trulli. The Brazilian fends off the Jordan debutant as the rest of the field jockey for position. Johnny Herbert collides with Pedro Diniz, but it's a clutch problem that ends the Brits' first race for the new Jaguar team. Back at the front, Schumacher keeps the pressure on the McLarens. His pit board informs him of the situation in front and behind. The German won't have to look in his mirrors as the leaders are well out in front. Pedro de la Rosa slips past Eddie Irvine's Jaguar into 10th. Not an easy maneuver here. Front suspension failure undoes all of the Spaniards' hard work. Eddie Irvine gets caught up in the mayhem and both drivers are out of the race. The Big Cats leave Australia with their tails between their legs. Out comes the safety car while the debris is cleared. Häkkinen's early efforts come to nothing. The rest of the field bunch up behind him and no overtaking is allowed. This is a very frustrating time for the Finn. At the restart, Coulthard's misfiring McLaren Mercedes is forced to pit. The mechanics quickly spot a small engine fire, costing the Scot valuable time. But at least they've managed to get him back out. Mercedes Motorsport boss Norbert Haug looks concerned, and he has every right to be as pneumatic valve failure takes the Scot out of the race. Barrichello moves up to 4th, but is still being held up by Frentzen's Jordan Mugen Honda. McLaren's race goes from bad to worse as Häkkinen's engine cries enough. A great sight for Schumacher. The German takes the lead as the Finn slows. Häkkinen has suffered the same problem as his teammate. McLaren's extensive winter testing didn't get rid of all the car's gremlins. Ferrari are having no such problems. Can Schumacher win for the first time in Australia? Ross Brawn could make it a Maranello 1-2. The team's technical director could leapfrog Barrichello over Frentzen through a change in pit stop strategy. Can the master tactician aid the Brazilian? Just behind, Trulli's hopes of a podium finish go up in flames. As if Eddie Jordan's mood wasn't bad enough, a gear selection problem forces Frentzen out. 2000 has not started well for the Irish team. Barrichello has now caught his teammate after each stopping once. Right in Schumacher's slipstream, he goes on the inside and takes the lead. His moment of glory won't last long though, as his earlier strategy change means he must pit twice, handing the race to Schumacher. Barrichello is unlikely to match Nigel Mansell's feat of winning first time out for Ferrari. Third place is a great result for Ralf Schumacher. A little slide is not enough to stop Ralph's older brother from making history. The Ferrari team gets ready to celebrate as Schumacher takes his first ever Australian Grand Prix victory.
Imagine how long we're in Ferrari. This is the 5th time we try to win this Australian Grand Prix and be competitive from the beginning of the season. Thanks really to the guys. They have done a fantastic job. I mean, not just the car is reliable, but it's so bloody fast, this car. I'm really, really delighted to drive this car.
The new VAR Honda is also rapid. Villeneuve and Zonta scored the team's first ever championship points. Mika Salo lost 6th place due to a technical infringement on his Sauber. This is the action on the track. On board with the driver's view. Dramatic action from the pit lane.
David Coulthard, very bad luck. What happened there?
We had a problem that came in with it. Misfire on the engine after the safety car. So I came into the pits. We tried to rectify with the software, and unfortunately when I'm back out, obviously lost the engine, so very disappointing.
Round 2 of the championship is the only Formula One race held in South America, the Brazilian Grand Prix at the Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo. Brazil expects, but can fourth fastest Rubens Barrichello deliver? McLaren lock out the front row with Mika Hakkinen on pole position again, ahead of David Coulthard. Sixth fastest, Eddie Irvine has helped cure Jaguar's Australian blues, while his former teammate is third quickest. Sauber became the first team to withdraw from a Grand Prix for safety reasons since Renault in 1979. Both cars suffered rear wing failures, leaving Mika Salo and Pedro Diniz powerless to control their cars. Team boss Peter Sauber blamed the bumpy nature of the circuit. Alexander Wirtz starts from the pit lane as the field gets away. Schumacher makes a fantastic start, beating Coulthard off the line and immediately pressurising Häkkinen, while Barrichello has to fend off Fisichella and Irvine. Schumacher is on a two-stop strategy and has a lighter fuel load. To make this tactic pay off, he needs to pass Häkkinen, who is scheduled to stop once. The German pulls out of the Finn slipstream. Häkkinen offers little resistance and the former world champion takes the lead at the start of lap 2. Barrichello pulls alongside Coulthard and takes third place. Both Ferrari drivers are on the same pit stop strategy. Not that that matters to the Brazilian tifosi. It's the battle of the Jordans for 7th place. Two-stopping Jarno Trulli passes Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is on a single-stop schedule. The Italian had started 12th on the grid. Schumacher's pit board shows he is pulling away from Häkkinen. The German appears to be well in command of the race, but will Ferrari's strategy give Schumacher his second consecutive victory? The drive of the race so far goes to Trulli, who is now up to 6th at the expense of Giancarlo Fisichella. Ferrari's tactics are paying off. Barrichello raises his fans' blood pressure by closing in on Häkkinen. The Brazilian eventually outbreaks the Finn and moves into second position. Häkkinen will be hoping that Barrichello's appalling Interlagos luck will strike again. Eddie Irvine looks good for Jaguar's first point, but he throws it all away, terminally damaging his car. Once again, the big cat's roar is reduced to a whimper. Barrichello has a problem, and it looks terminal. Hydraulic failure takes Rubino out of the race. Häkkinen leads after Schumacher's stop, but there is little time for Ron Dennis to bask in his team's glory, as a lack of oil pressure forces the Finn to retire. Once again, Schumacher is handed the race on a plate. As if it wasn't easy enough for Schumacher, Coulthard has no gears below 4th. Flavio Briatore is back as boss of Benetton, which will become the Renault Works team in 2002. He will be pleased with the performance of Fisichella, who is up to 3rd. Frentzen is back ahead of his teammate. A double points finish is the best response to Jordan's Australian disaster. On board the arrows of Jos Verstappen as he is tailed by rapid rookie Jenson Button. The Williams driver has the inside line and pulls a great pass on the Dutchman. The Brit goes up to 7th, but can he score his first Formula One points? Schumacher rounds the final corners to win a race that was made a lot easier due to McLaren's misfortunes. The German drove well, however Ferrari were spot on with their strategy. The German scores another 10 points ahead of Coulthard, who put in a great drive in a handicap car. Jean Todt, Ross Brawn and the rest of the Ferrari team congratulate themselves on a job well done.
Thanks, guys. You have done a great job.
Yeah, well done again, Michael.
It was quite entertaining. I mean, it doesn't happen too often that you have between the leaders a real fight and overtaking, so I enjoyed that. It was a long time ago.
Schumacher's Brazilian Grand Prix win gives Ferrari its best start to a season since 1976. David Coulthard was later disqualified due to his car's front wing being mounted 7 millimeters too low, giving Jenson Button a World Championship point. A different view of events on the track. On board with the driver's view. The onboard camera showing exactly how the driver sees it. The action from the point of view of the pit lane.
Gary Anderson, just seen Eddie go off, but from the replays, it didn't look like a normal spin. Was there a mechanical problem?
Don't know. I think he just lost it when he turned it going into that corner. The way it comes up over a hill, there's a bit of a bump there, but he just said he just lost it.
Vamos agora à entrega dos troféus do Grande Prêmio Brasil.
The historic circuit of Imola is the home of the San Marino Grand Prix, round 3 of the championship. The track is steeped in motor racing history. As with every Grand Prix held in Italy, the Ferrari-loving Tifosi expect nothing less than a Maranello victory. Third fastest David Coulthard will be hoping not to attract the attention of the stewards, while fourth quickest Rubens Barrichello races for the first time in the Ferrari heartland. Michael Schumacher shares the front row with Mika Häkkinen, but even on the prancing horse's home ground, the German couldn't get pole. The 22-strong grid is seconds away from the start of the European season. Häkkinen has made a good start while Schumacher veers across Coulthard's path. The Scot brakes hard, forcing Ralf Schumacher onto the grass. Barrichello has got past and is side by side with his teammate. The German holds his line and stays in second. Häkkinen is determined to put the disappointments of Australia and Brazil behind him. He is quickly stamping his authority on this race. The Finn leads from Schumacher, who is followed by Barrichello, Coulthard, Villeneuve and the battling Jordans. Häkkinen is getting away, but it's early days yet. Frenson's race lasts all of 4 laps. The German's Jordan is jammed in 6th gear. The double points finish at the Brazilian Grand Prix was a false dawn. At least Jarno Trulli is still running well, pressurising Villeneuve for 5th position. Stuck in 4th, Coulthard finds it difficult to overtake. Schumacher is having a hard time catching Häkkinen. The leaders, pit crews and strategists will have a big say in the outcome of this race. Jacques Villeneuve is the first of the leaders in for a second set of new tyres and fuel, promoting Ralf Schumacher to 5th. Smooth pit work from the BAR team put the Canadian on course for a points finish. There will be no points for the German as his BMW engine fails to pick up the last dregs of fuel. Bitter disappointment for Williams as the new chassis engine package was performing well. Häkkinen comes in from the lead. The Finn has had a relatively short middle stint, handing the lead to Schumacher. The ecstatic Tifosi urge their man on, but can the German stay in front after his final stop? Barrichello and Coulthard are in for their second set of tyres and fuel, setting up a battle of the pit crews. The Brazilian is stationary first, putting pressure on the McLaren mechanics, but the English team respond brilliantly and put their man into 3rd place. Barrichello needs luck on his side to get past Coulthard now. Jean Todt hopes his #1 driver has done enough to keep his lead. McLaren boss Ron Dennis may regret bringing Häkkinen in early for his second stop, as Schumacher exits ahead of the Finn. Surely only mechanical misfortune can stop the former champion from taking a hat-trick of wins. Häkkinen has his work cut out if he is to retain his title, but at least he should finish a Grand Prix for the first time this season. It's all looking very good for Schumacher and Ferrari. The German rounds the last few corners and takes the checkered flag to win the San Marino Grand Prix. Schumacher makes it 3 wins in a row, but this one owed a lot to a superior race strategy. The former world champion can do little wrong as far as the Tifosi is concerned.
And we did it, and we did it for all the Tifosis. I hope everybody is happy with this, as far as I saw outside. It looks like, so do I. Now we look forward to the next one.
You can't blame the German for his optimism. Everything has gone his way so far this season. Häkkinen and Coulthard will have to step up their games to prevent the championship becoming a one prancing horse race. Can anyone stop Michael Schumacher from becoming Ferrari's first world champion since 1979? Häkkinen has a mountain to climb in the Drivers' Championship, while Mika Salo scores Sauber's first point of the season.
Trackside with all the excitement.
Pictures from the best possible seat.
pits providing more details.
A waterlogged Silverstone is the venue for round 4 of the championship, the British Grand Prix. King Juan Carlos of Spain, supermodel Naomi Campbell, and actor Stephen Fry are all experiencing the unique Formula One atmosphere. Saturday's wet-dry qualifying session was a lottery. The winners were Rubens Barrichello and Heinz Harald Frentzen. The front two are quick off the mark, unlike Häkkinen, who drops behind Coulthard. Schumacher takes to the sodden grass and gets swamped by the battling Williams BMWs of British hero Jenson Button and Michael's younger brother Ralph. The Brazilian leads from Frentzen, Coulthard, Hakkinen, Button and Ralf Schumacher. After a torrid time at Imola, the Williams team are right back in the thick of the action. An indifferent qualifying session and a poor start has left Schumacher languishing in 8th place. Coulthard stalks Frentzen as his teammate runs wide and slips into the clutches of Button. Electronics failure retires Jos Verstappen. Arrows had hoped for more at home. Frentzen is the first of the leaders to pit. His two-stop strategy promotes Coulthard to second. Can he break the Ferrari-McLaren stranglehold on the top step of the podium? Pedro de la Rosa is also out with a problem similar to his teammate's car. A bad day at the office for team boss Tom Walkinshaw. Back with the leaders and Coulthard is ready to pounce on Barrichello. He moves to the outside and powers past the Brazilian into the lead. Great driving from the Scot. Third place Hakkinen is about to make his only scheduled stop of the race. Ron Dennis looks on as his mechanics go to work. Hakkinen rejoins the race in 8th place. Coulthard leads Barrichello, but both have yet to make their stops. In comes the Scot, who is on the same strategy as his teammate. Can his pit crew help him on to his second consecutive British Grand Prix victory? Barrichello now leads as Coulthard drops to 4th. A first Grand Prix win is a distinct possibility. The Ferrari number 2 has been outperforming his more illustrious teammate all weekend, but doesn't look so impressive there. He does well to keep it going, but was that spin due to a mechanical fault or driver error? His pit crew hope for the best. But it's all in vain. Falling hydraulic pressure caused the spin and forces Barrichello out. Michael Schumacher has taken the lead but has yet to stop. The German is curiously off the pace, perhaps affected by his crash here last year. Ricardo Zonta spins out of the race at Stowe. Race leader Schumacher makes his first and only pit stop. Frentzen now leads. Schumacher drops to 6th. Eddie Jordan looks on as his German charge leads the British Grand Prix. Frentzen is followed by Coulthard, Ralf Schumacher and Jenson Button, who have yet to make their second stops. 5th place Mika Hakkinen is trailing in the wake of his teammate. The current leader is in for his second and final stop. Will the German still be in contention when he rejoins the track? Coulthard, Ralf Schumacher, Button and Hakkinen have passed the Jordan. Michael Schumacher is also through. The Williams BMWs have made their final stops and are zeroing in on a double points finish. Jenson Button has looked particularly impressive. Not so praiseworthy is the reliability of Frentzen's Jordan, which suffers gearbox problems for the 3rd time in 4 races. It's an uphill struggle for Eddie Jordan. BAR are also suffering. Transmission failure rules out any chance of a championship point for Villeneuve within sight of the flag. Hakkinen has closed on the leader, but Coulthard has eased off. The Scot takes a well-deserved first victory of the season and his second British Grand Prix win. McLaren's first 1-2 finish didn't come a moment too soon.
It's great for the team. We've got both cars, first and second. Obviously, I'm very happy for myself to win this race, to win it a second time, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
David Coulthard's near-perfect drive has also marked the official resurgence of McLaren after a shaky start. Norbert Haug pays the price for accepting the winning Constructors' Trophy for McLaren Mercedes. David Coulthard is now 20 points behind Michael Schumacher in the Drivers' Championship. McLaren's dominant performance has clawed back some of Ferrari's advantage.
A different view of events on the track. Driver's view. The pits providing more details.
Yes, from his fiancée. Or his dad. For David Coulthard.
The Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona plays host to round 5 of the championship, the Spanish Grand Prix. Mika Hakkinen and Adrian Newey talk start-line tactics as fourth fastest Coulthard is ready to go. Michael Schumacher starts from pole for the first time this season, while third quickest Barrichello hopes for better reliability. Drivers prepare for 65 laps of this tight, twisty circuit. The lights go out, and a la Imola, Schumacher veers across to the other side of the grid to block any threat to his lead. Hakkinen's having none of it, though, and it's a drag race down to turn 1. The German stays in front while his brother moves up 2 places to third. Jean Alesi is having a torrid time in the Prost. A lack of rear-end grip is the least of his problems, thanks to Pedro de la Rosa. Nothing seems to be going right for the French team. Schumacher is getting away from Hakkinen, while Coulthard is stuck behind Ralf Schumacher. It is a testament to the bravery of the Scot that he is racing only days after a plane accident that claimed the lives of 2 pilots. Jacques Villeneuve's hopes of another points finish go up in flames thanks to Honda engine failure. BAR need reliability to go with their newfound speed. The Ferrari crew are all set for Schumacher's first stop. It's a well-rehearsed routine for the Maranello crew, but this time Schumacher has been given the all-clear too early, and Chief Mechanic Nigel Stepney pays the price. On the same lap, Coulthard is in from third place. The Scot is struggling to select first and loses valuable time. This will not help his efforts to see off Ralf Schumacher and Barrichello. Sure enough, the Williams is through, and a good stop from Barrichello could see the Scot lose a place. 2 laps later, and the McLaren mechanics are ready for the reigning world champion. The Finn inherited the lead when Schumacher came in, but he will struggle to stay there. The stop went well, but can he stay in front? It's very close, but even with the Minardi ahead, Schumacher retakes the lead. The circuit to Catalunya has precious few overtaking opportunities, so Häkkinen may have to wait until the second round of pit stops to mount a challenge. The battle for third place is just as intense as Ralf Schumacher heads Barrichello and Coulthard. Williams BMW is proving to be more than a match for Ferrari and McLaren in this race. Back at the front, Häkkinen has reeled in Schumacher, but that's only half of the job done. Ralf Schumacher and Barrichello rejoin the race and drop down the order as Coulthard, who pitted on the previous lap, powers past. The mechanics become involved in the battle for the lead. At this crucial stage of the race, it is not a good time to rely on your substitute refueler, so the pressure is really on Ferrari. It's not the greatest of stops by McLaren, but enough for Häkkinen to take the lead. The fuel hose was damaged in the previous stop, and that may be the deciding factor in this race. Schumacher now has two problems: traffic up ahead and a rapid Scott behind. Coulthard is right in Schumacher's slipstream and goes round the outside to take second place. A great move by the McLaren driver. The Scot is having an inspired race. Barrichello is struggling to get on terms with Ralf Schumacher. With the pit stops completed, the Brazilian looks to be stuck in fifth position. Ralf Schumacher catches his brother, who has suffered a right rear puncture. Barrichello gets a good view of the battle for third. The Ferrari driver forces his brother wide. His teammate dives down the inside to snatch third. It doesn't get any better for Williams as Jenson Button retires from sixth again. For once, Häkkinen has an incident-free race and wins the Spanish Grand Prix.
I don't know how I could explain it, how pleased I am. I'm just over the moon, or how you say it.
Ferrari were relieved with the podium finish and Nigel Stepney escaping serious injury. Häkkinen takes his first win of the season and McLaren's second consecutive 1-2. The drive of the race goes to Coulthard, who finished a fighting second, despite all that happened to him during the previous week. The Finn's victory takes him to second in the drivers' table, 14 points behind Schumacher.
A different view of events on the track. the unique driver's view from in the cockpit. The situation unfolding in the pits.
The Nürburgring in Germany hosts round 6 of the championship, the European Grand Prix. Thousands of Michael Schumacher fans are here to see their hero. German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder is among them. For the first time this season, David Coulthard is on pole. The wet-dry qualifying session saw Rubens Barrichello go 4th fastest behind Häkkinen. Second fastest, Michael Schumacher talks tactics with Jean Todt. The race is on. Häkkinen makes a lightning getaway and takes the lead. Further back, Fisichella and Trulli collide, while Schumacher is past the slow-starting Coulthard, who now has to fend off Barrichello. Häkkinen gives his wife and Nürburgring an unexpected lead, while the less than impressed Jarno Trulli retires with wrecked suspension. McLaren and Ferrari pack the top 4. On board with the leader as he fends off the hard-charging German. Heinz-Harald Frenzen's Mugen Honda engine lets go, ending a nightmare race for Jordan. That's the Irish team's 3rd double retirement. Down comes the rain, throwing race strategies out of the window. Schumacher, the master of changing conditions, takes advantage of this and closes right up on Häkkinen. But it's getting very slippery out there. The German is in the perfect position to pounce and easily outbreaks Häkkinen into the chicane and takes the lead. Surprisingly, Häkkinen offered little resistance. There's more for the Ferrari fans to cheer about as Barrichello has a good run on Coulthard. He breaks that little bit later than the Scot and takes 3rd place. Marc Genet's hopes of repeating his 6th place finish here last year have been shattered, along with his Minardi's front wing. Pedro Diniz illustrates just how little traction there is at the moment. A fact not lost on the Ferrari team, who hurriedly prepare the wet tyres for their #1 driver, who is joined in the pits by Häkkinen. Can the Ferrari pit crew help extend Schumacher's slight advantage over his rival? The German is away first and rejoins the race ahead of Coulthard. A concerned Ron Dennis looks on as his 2 drivers battle for 2nd place. Both are pitted for wet tyres, but Häkkinen has the inside line and splashes past Coulthard. The Finn has his work cut out to catch Schumacher. The battle for 7th place is hotting up as Jos Verstappen goes down the outside of Eddie Irvine. Side by side into turn 1 and Irvine spins. Irvine is just a passenger as he takes out Ralf Schumacher. The Jaguar's rear wing has also been damaged. The resultant lack of downforce sends Irvine into retirement. Jaguar is enduring a tough F1 baptism. Verstappen loses control of his arrows just a few corners later due to suspension damage. On board with Barrichello, who is on a 3-stop strategy to make up for his late switch to wets. He outbreaks Fisichella for 4th. Will his lighter fuel load pay dividends? The leader comes in for his 2nd and final stop as Häkkinen accelerates down the start-finish straight. The world champion must increase his pace to ensure he doesn't suffer the same fate as Schumacher. The McLaren pit crew now prepare for the race leader's last stop. Häkkinen puts his race in the hands of his mechanics and hopes that Schumacher can't match his pace. His hopes are in vain, however, as the German retakes the lead. The race is now Schumacher's to win or lose. A valve problem takes care of Villeneuve, while Button almost accounts for Herbert. The young Brit has damaged the nose cone of his Williams. In only his 50th car race, Button is trying too hard to take 7th position. His mechanics have the spare part ready, but his electronics have given up. Alex Wurz tries a move inside Herbert at the last corner, which ends in disaster. In contrast, Michael Schumacher and Ferrari will savour this victory, as the German rounds the final corner to win the European Grand Prix. Another vintage Schumacher performance. The rain always brings out the best in the two-time world champion.
I was dreaming for it. Sometimes dreams come true, and obviously now we are in a very good situation. We have a strong car, we have a good team, and we have some points in advance.
The championship leader celebrates his fourth victory of the season. The perfect comeback after his below-par drive at Silverstone. Even the might of McLaren Mercedes may not be enough to stop the German from taking his third world title. Schumacher's latest triumph takes him 18 points clear in the Drivers' Championship. Ferrari and McLaren are separated by just 10 points in the battle for the Constructors' title.
This is the action on the track. A unique view from on board the car. in the pit lane with the teams.
Beide Autos in einem Rennen verlieren.
Più bravo che a giocare a pallone.
Round 7 of the championship is the jewel in the Formula One calendar, the Monaco Grand Prix. The drivers and teams get their annual dose of glitz and glamour as they rub shoulders with celebrities such as Boris Becker and Naomi Campbell. Michael Schumacher has secured the most important pole position in the championship. Coulthard starts third, needing a minor miracle to win. Jarno Trulli surprised a lot of people, including himself, by putting his Jordan on the front row. Schumacher leads the charge down to Sainte Devote, followed by Trulli, Coulthard, Frentzen, Hakkinen and Barrichello. Jenson Button breaks for the hairpin. The Brit tips Pedro de la Rosa's arrows into a spin, and the usual Monaco congestion now becomes gridlock. The race is stopped, the mechanics mobilise. But what are the Williams team going to do about Button?
OK, we'll put tyres on that we can start the race from the end of the pit lane, Dickie.
Diniz leads the charge back to the pits. The race is underway again. Schumacher hopefully makes his final good start, followed by Trulli and Coulthard. Ralf Schumacher has made a great getaway from 9th on the grid and puts Jean Alesi under pressure. The German squeezes past as his brother leads up the hill. 5th place Hakkinen illustrates just how difficult it is to overtake at Monaco. It will be a long race for McLaren. Schumacher has quickly got into his rhythm and is pulling away from the chasing pack led by Jarno Trulli. Can the former world champion win his 5th Monaco Grand Prix? It certainly looks that way. Jarno Trulli is definitely holding up Coulthard in 3rd place. Frentzen is still 4th, followed by Hakkinen and Ralf Schumacher. On board with Coulthard as he pressurises Trulli. Schumacher takes advantage of the hold-up to extend his lead still further. The German looks unstoppable at the moment. Hakkinen is decidedly vulnerable. The Finn has a brake problem and drops to 6th behind Ralf Schumacher's Williams. Can this problem be fixed in time to keep Hakkinen in the race? A telemetry plate has slipped behind the brake pedal. The mechanics remove it, but the Finn is now a lap down. Hakkinen exits the pits, forcing Ralf Schumacher offline, and the German spears the tyre wall. Williams technical director Patrick Head is justifiably concerned. His #1 driver has suffered a nasty cut on his left leg. Eddie Jordan suffers déjà vu as Trulli retires with gearbox problems. Schumacher continues to dominate up front. The German's only threat is Coulthard, who now has a clear track in front of him. The leader approaches the last corner, but he may not get much further as there goes some of his bodywork. The Ferrari has suffered a failure that isn't just skin deep. Even Ross Brawn and Jean Todt can't get Schumacher out of this situation. The German's car has suffered a cracked exhaust that has caused the left rear suspension to overheat and break. Hakkinen is now up to 7th behind the Sauber of Mika Salo. The rivalry between these two Finns goes all the way back to Formula 3. Frentzen moves up to 2nd place. All too briefly as he joins the Sainte Devote Hall of Shame. The German's demise lets through Barrichello and Giancarlo Fisichella to 2nd and 3rd places. The Jordan team is wiped out for the 2nd consecutive race. Barrichello and Fisichella had benefited from Monaco's legendary rate of attrition. Coulthard too has gained from others' misfortunes, but it is about time the Scot had some good luck. Coulthard takes his first Monaco Grand Prix victory.
I've benefited today from problems with Michael and with Jarno, but that's Monaco, and I've had my fair share of bad luck over the years, so I'm quite happy to take this win today.
David Coulthard will need more than his fair share of good luck to catch Schumacher in the championship. If Ferrari's reliability continues to wane, there could be many more scenes like this for the informed Scot. Michael Schumacher is 12 points ahead in the Drivers' Championship, despite his failure to score here.
Back to the flying action of the track.
The onboard camera showing exactly how the driver sees it. The dramatic situation unfolding in the pits.
Schumacher back into the pits. Schumacher out of the race. David Coulthard leads by 19.2 seconds from Rubens Barrichello. Thank you.
Round 8 saw the championship make its annual visit to Montreal, Canada. The Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve is a shrine for fans of a certain BAR driver. George Harrison and Olympic gold medalist Ed Moses are among those on hand. Last-minute repairs for second fastest Coulthard's McLaren, while the hometown hero focuses on a good finish from 6th on the grid. He'll do well to get close to poleman Schumacher. Just before the formation lap, Coulthard stalls. His mechanics rush to his aid, but that's against the rules, as it is less than 15 seconds before the green light. Coulthard may find the stewards to be tougher opposition than the German in this race. The race is underway and Schumacher gets away well, but not as good as Villeneuve, who blasts past Frentzen. Hakkinen brakes very early, allowing the Canadian to move up alongside. He takes third to the delight of his manager, Craig Pollock. The rest of the field filters through, apart from the luckless Eddie Irvine. Former teammate Schumacher leads the pack. De La Rosa gets into the points by outbraking Frentzen into the hairpin, as Eddie Irvine eventually gets away. Schumacher and Coulthard have a big lead thanks to Villeneuve, who is holding up Barrichello, Hakkinen and De La Rosa. McLaren's infringement has caught up with Coulthard. The Scot is in the pits to serve a 10-second stop-go penalty. He rejoins in 10th. Schumacher looks set to extend his points lead over Coulthard, but it's early days yet. The Ferrari team chiefs are preoccupied with their number 2 driver. Barrichello and Hakkinen are being held up by Villeneuve's BAR. The Canadian is taking advantage of a low downforce setup and the power of his Honda engine. The former world champion undoes all his hard work and leaves the door wide open for Barrichello, who moves up to second. The Ferrari number 2 looks set to pull away, but the weather could put pay to that. Rain is the least of Frentzen's troubles.
Leave the rear tyres off, we need to look at the disc. Leave the rear tyres off, we need to look at the disc.
That's his 6th retirement in 8 races. Villeneuve now has his mirrors filled with Hakkinen's McLaren. Can the local hero hang on to 3rd? The reigning world champion makes his move at the first corner and Villeneuve has to yield. With the BAR out of the way, Hakkinen has caught Schumacher. The Ferrari star has already pitted and is now behind his teammate. Villeneuve is in for his first stop. The Canadian is on course for more championship points. He'll be back in shortly as it's starting to rain again. The ever-efficient Ferrari pit crew has wet weather tyres ready for Schumacher's second stop. Barrichello has been waiting patiently for wets, having been fitted with groove tyres on the previous lap. This hands the lead to Schumacher. McLaren get ready for Hakkinen. The Brazilian is finally ready to restart, but he has lost a lot of time. A sluggish stop has left Barrichello with it all to do. The rain is intensifying as Hakkinen comes in for wets. On board with the leader, the team have told Schumacher to be careful due to a rear brake problem, as effectively illustrated by the German. He rejoins the track but will have to curb his speed for the rest of the race. Last of the late breakers, Villeneuve gets past Coulthard but takes out Ralf Schumacher. Quite rightly, Villeneuve apologises for his rash manoeuvre. Coulthard is just as aggressive in the battle for 7th. He collides with Alex Wurtz's Benetton. This time, both drivers are able to continue. The Ferrari fans are ecstatic as Schumacher and Barrichello cruise towards their second 1-2 finish of the season. The Brazilian has carved chunks out of his teammates' lead, but has been ordered to remain behind the German. one-stopper Fisichella squeezed ahead of Hakkinen, finishing third behind Barrichello.
The team obviously asked him to slow down and not try to push too much, because I couldn't push anymore. And thanks to Rubens, he did. He played very well, and we both finished safely the race first and two.
Michael Schumacher's wife Karina looks on as the champagne flows. The German's win re-establishes his lead in the title chase. With Coulthard failing to score, Schumacher looks a good bet for the title, but there are still 9 races to go. Trackside with all the excitement. On board with the driver's view. The situation unfolding in the pits.
Okay, Michael, that was a great job. Great job. Wonderfully paced. Well done.